Hey everybody, my name is Mike Fixacardi, and if you're just tuning in, this is my totaled 2018 Subaru STI. And the reason it was totaled was the previous owner had hit a deer, and in that process it did enough damage obviously to total the car, but it also did other damage that I found later on, particularly with the wiring harness, and certain wires were broken. So in today's episode we are going to address those issues. I'm going to repair those broken wires and get that settled, so this way after the car is rebuilt I do not want any electrical gremlins. So this is some of the wiring that has been broken. These two wires are for the buzzer. I'll give you an example. On the black car, the buzzer makes that wonderful beeping sound, and the wires have broken there, so I have a new buzzer as well as a way to repair this. So we're going to wire this up. Another section of wiring that has broken is down here. This is for the air temperature sensor. That's broken. The air conditioning condenser wiring is broken. We'll replace that. And the evap control solenoid wiring is broken there as well. So I ordered up a bunch of pigtails from iWire, and they're a great company if you need any wiring solutions for your Subaru, and they helped me out a lot with trying to figure out just what this wiring was for. I had a hunch that it was for the buzzer, and after a little while they were able to confirm it. We're going to confirm it again with a multimeter, so let's take a look and just make sure that that is what the wiring is for. I'll show you how we'll do the test. Alright guys, so the way we're going to test to see if that is the buzzer, I have my multimeter connected to the wires with some alligator clips. Now, it's reading very low voltage in millivolts, which I thought it would read higher. However, I guess maybe that's all it needs, but we'll see as we rewire it up. A way to prove that this is in fact for the buzzer, I have the battery obviously connected. We'll press the unlock button. And when I press the unlock button, you see a spike in the multimeter and what it's reading. Again, we get a spike. We'll lock it, we get a spike. We'll lock it again. We got the horn that time. So, but every time, so we'll unlock it again. Unlock both doors and we get a spike in voltage. So that should be the buzzer. Now, we will repair this and rewire it, and we'll test it after it's rewired. Now, to repair this, obviously disconnect your battery first and foremost. Do not leave your battery plugged in when you're working on electrical circuits. Number one, okay? So next, what we'll need is to assess what we are going to be rewiring. And I went ahead and I had cut back and exposed this copper wiring because some of it was a little corroded from sitting out in the auction yard and exposed to the weather for a few months that this car has been totaled. So you'll need some wire cutters. You'll need some of these solder seal wire connectors, and what these do is essentially there's solder in the center there, and you'll connect both wires together in the center, and you'll use a heat gun to melt the solder and fuse the wires together. We also have, just to make things a little cleaner, just some heat shrink, and I have a new buzzer. It's the part number if you guys are wondering, because it took me a while to find it. And I have a new pigtail that we're going to wire in place here to connect to the buzzer. So let's do that. So you're going to take, obviously, this yellow and black wire, splice it in with the other yellow and black wire, and the straight black wire to the other black wire. I'm going to leave this pigtail at this length because I'm not so sure how far we will actually mount the buzzer, but it's okay. We could always coil this up a little bit after it's mounted in place. What we'll do is we'll strip these wires a little bit to expose the copper. Give it a twist to make sure all these strands stay nice and straight. Now what we'll do, I'll slip over heat shrink first, both sides. I'll slip over our little solder here on both sides. And what we'll do is we'll twist these together. So we're going to twist the black together I'm actually going to separate these a little bit, these strands, just to make it a little easier to twist them together. Once you have your wires twisted together, slip the solder over. Make sure the solder is in the center, connecting the two sets of wires, and we'll gently shrink it with the heat gun. The solder has melted, fusing the wires together. We'll do the same thing with these yellow wires here. That should be good. So we got the solder just about in the center there. Now we'll blast it gently with some heat. And you can see the solder has melted, fusing those wires together. So now, just to dress it up a little bit, we will slip over some heat shrink just to try to cover this up a little bit and melt that as well. Okay, now that we got that done, I have my buzzer here. Let's plug that in. Plug that in. Let's set it over here. I'm going to connect the battery and we'll see if it works. Let's press the key and hope that it makes that beautiful sound. Yes, it does. There you go. So that's one fix down. Let's do the rest. So I went ahead and sealed up this wire. You probably don't have to, but I just like to keep it safe from the elements. I sealed up this with some special, it's kind of like a fabric wiring tape, not electrical tape, but we'll keep this off to the side. Most likely it'll mount somewhere here. I think it gets mounted actually to the bracket for the headlight. As we progress with the build, we'll put it in its right spot. So next we'll move on to this air temperature sensor. I exposed the wires now. Lucky for us, our pigtail is color coded. First, what I'm going to do, I just want to make sure that this connector actually does fit with this sensor here. Yes, it does. Okay. Now we don't need this much wire. First, what we'll do is we will cut these wires to expose some clean copper here, and then we will strip them. Plug this sensor in. I'd say let's cut here and we should be safe. Don't forget to put our heat shrink in place as well as our solder connectors. Then we could separate the wires again. We'll do the blue first. Okay, and now same thing, we'll apply heat gently. There we go. The solder, you could see, has melted very well, making a very good connection here. We'll go ahead and do the same for these orange wires. Next up, we'll move on to the air conditioning compressor wiring. As you can see, this connector is broken. Wow, I don't really have a lot of wire to work with here. Pull that off. And last, we have the evap solenoid to redo. And that's all that I could tell so far that was broken. Hopefully nothing else is broken, but let's repair this one. So here's the old connector. So we're going to take this white one. See, this is green and white. And we're going to wire those in together. And we'll just take this black and white striped one, and that'll go to the black and white striped one on this side. Major mistake here, guys. I had to go back and fix it, but you see where the two wires are connected by solder? Make sure those wires are not touching each other, otherwise you run the risk of having a short circuit. Well, like I said, guys, definitely my wiring is not going to win any beauty pageants, but I think it turned out pretty good. I just hope everything works. We'll see when we get this car back together. If you learned anything new, hit that like button. If you want to roast me in the comments, please go ahead. I encourage you. And I would appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button to continue following on this rebuild of my soon-to-be beautiful Subaru STI. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.